Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be doing something slightly unusual for me, and that is praising retail World of Warcraft. Because, you gotta praise someone when they do things right. And I think retail has been doing a lot of things right recently, not everything. I'm normally a classic WoW kind of guy. I like Wrath, BC and Classic generally better than the retail expansions after that. However, credit where credit is due. Now, let's start at the very beginning here. World of Warcraft is an MMORPG, ostensibly, and an RPG is a role-playing game, as we all know. So what are the main factors into how we get into that role? How do we categorize ourselves? Well, I'd suggest that the two main factors are your race and your class of the character you play. Now, racial identity in World of Warcraft is, a topic for another video, but class identity, that's something that Blizzard has done really well recently. After basically Mists of Pandaria, where all the classes were fairly similar, they had so many abilities that they often filled similar roles, Blizzard thought, oh, we've gone a bit too far there, we've given people too many tools to play with, too many toys to play with, and we're going to get rid of them all, or at least we're going to prune a lot of abilities. And people didn't like that. Warlords of Draenor had that as a bit of a problem in that people felt that they had their nice new toys taken away, and people who had spells that they'd become very fond of over the years they couldn't use anymore, which wasn't great for class identity. But then in Legion, to be honest, they continued to do that, and they also locked certain spells into different specs, which really, really frustrates me, frankly. I do not like that decision, and I really hope they go back on that. I think it's... No, actually, I'm not gonna say I understand where they're coming from there. If I'm a mage, let me cast all my mage spells. I read the books, I know how they work, so don't segregate my spell book, please, Blizzard. However, other than that, obviously the main feature, or one of the main features of Legion, was the order hall system, and all the class-specific quest chains that really helped cultivate your class identity, more so than really any expansion up until basically vanilla, because vanilla had class quests. For the shaman, you'd go and get your water totem, and that would take you about 3 weeks to finish, basically. And for the paladin and warlock, you'd get your mounts, and all of these flavor quests. So the warriors go to that, is it Alkaz Island, and get their berserker stance. These things are really famous moments in WoW that people have remembered for years as really fond memories, and very much people are excited to go back and experience that again when Classic's released. But really since then there wasn't much to make your class feel special, which is why Death Knights, when they were introduced, you got a lot of flavor that was really specific to your class, and that felt awesome. I don't know about monks, I've never played a monk. I was expecting monks to be Pandaren only, and I really wish they had been Pandaren only, because, I don't know, if you see like a Tauren monk, or a gnome monk, or a night elf monk, it just feels weird seeing them do all this like Jackie Chan stuff. It breaks my emotion. I'm sorry, I still haven't gotten used to it. I think I'd like to try and roll a monk, because they seem to be pretty strong most of the time, and I like playing hybrid classes, but just something about an undead monk, never mind. Not important. What is important is that Blizzard have done a really great job with encouraging you to feel more connected to other players that play your class. The Order Hall was a great idea. I've really enjoyed it. Every Order Hall that I've done, and I've only done 3, the quest lines, and they've all been really good fun. They're a bit of unique content that fleshes out the world, and more importantly, I think, gives each different class a different experience of the expansion. Because I know from the Rogue Order Hall questline, which I actually haven't done, but I've read about it, that we go and learn about the fact that there was misinformation for the Attack on the Broken Shore event. We were misled by some dreadlord or other, probably Jaina, and that was really interesting, because obviously me playing as a shaman in the beginning of the expansion, I had no idea about that. But I did go and recruit all the elemental lords and go into, Skyhold, or whatever they call the wind place, and you go into Deepholm, which, by the way, is one of my favourite zones. Deepholm is wonderful. I wish there's more reasons to go back there. It's just so pretty and well done. So all of this flavor stuff was great. And my priest, we were teaming up with the paladins, and it was like bros, and we were the guys that had the light, and it was super cool. And we were there with our cloth and our robes, and the paladins were there with their big shields and stuff, but we were all brothers in the light. It was really cool. I thought, yeah, okay, I'm down with this, Blizzard. More of this, please. I enjoy this class fantasy. And then suddenly, They pulled the rug out from underneath us, and then look at this, it's nothing. We got nothing. There's no class identity going forward in BFA that I've seen. Yeah, there's going to be a lot more faction identity, which, thumbs up, great, wonderful, I love it. And I understand because of that, you know, faction enmity, because of the fact that we're going to be properly at war again, because the Horde decided to burn down my pretty tree, you know, we're going to have to be at each other's throats again. I get that, and I also get that it would probably make order halls a little bit less friendly, because if we're meant to be at war with each other, except everyone's broing down in their order hall together, you know, sharing drinks, I guess that's maybe not so conducive for the whole Battle for Azeroth vibe they're trying to achieve. And also, because I like the fact that we're not in Dalaran anymore. We've got two separate hubs. I think obviously for the same reasons I just explained there, it makes sense that we're not going to be sharing a capital city this time. It's great that we're kind of segregated in terms of factions for the capital cities. I get that, it's wonderful. And so I agree with their decision not to have the order halls as a hub. We shouldn't have it as a hub. It's not like a garrison system, but I'd love there to be some reason to go back there, you know, have some kind of class-specific quest chain. Hopefully we'll get that. Hopefully, you know, when N'Zoth or whoever it is that turns out to be the end boss of the expansion is revealed, hopefully then we'll have a reason to go back to our order hall, you know, think, all right, Warlocks, how are we going to deal with N'Zoth? You know, let's put our heads together and then have a little, it doesn't have to be that much, doesn't have to be massive, not like in Legion, but something, some flavor thing to get us to go back there and, you know, renew our vows, as it were, remind ourselves why we are the bloody high priest. Yeah, you made me the high priest of all the priests, and then suddenly I don't have any duties as high priest? That's not really believable, is it? Okay, if you're gonna make me champion of my order, the champion's meant to be doing stuff. Is that just a temporary position? Is Alonsus Fowl gonna take over for me as high priest now that we've finished with the Legion? Fine, but maybe have an event that says that he's taking over? Do you know what I mean? It's very unfinished in that way, that just suddenly, oh, yeah, Netherlight Temple, don't worry about it, you never need to go back there. Absolutely irrelevant for the rest of the entirety of Azeroth, you know. It doesn't feel very good, it's not satisfying. So, I would be in favor of, okay, sure, Battle for Azeroth is raging, the buddy-buddy nature that we'd been cultivating over Legion, where, you know, all the priests were hanging out together and the paladins were in Light's Hope and all of that, we were getting pretty bro-y with the other faction. I get that the fact that now we're at war with each other, we have to stop all of that. The order halls are going to get too clashing between the factions, and so they've been evacuated for the time being. Kind of like how Dalaran cleared out the Sun Reavers, you know, the Blood Elves from Dalaran after Jaina's city Theramore got bombed. Kind of similar thing like that. Do that for the beginning of the expansion whilst the proper Battle for Azeroth is raging, and then inevitably, maybe in a second raid tier, when we get to who the actual villain of the expansion is, when we actually, I guess it's going to be N'Zoth, but I think, pretty sure Ajara is confirmed to be the end boss of the second raid tier, so maybe by then, or perhaps we're going to get a third raid tier that is properly, oh no, it's really old gods, not just a servant of the old gods, it's actually an old god. When that happens, surely then we can say, okay guys, you know that Legionfall campaign stuff we did, you know how we were all, the classes coming together, forget the factions, there's a bigger bad guy going around here, maybe we can get some of that back. I'm not saying we go all the way back, but at least some reason to go and revisit the order halls that are great. There's awesome music. I mean, the Hunter Order Hall music is wonderful. It's enough of a reason to me to want to roll a Hunter when I have absolutely no intention of playing one, just so I can sit there and listen to the music. That kind of thing, and there was a lot of time and effort put into making these areas that really are flush with role-playing opportunity, and not necessarily for people that want to play a particular role as like, oh, I'm this guy, I'm Jeff the Paladin, I'm gonna sit here at the table and drink with the Blood Elf Paladin. No, I don't mean like that. I don't mean actual role-playing. I just mean walking around an area that makes you get immersed into your character just that little bit more, because really that's something that WoW is lacking. Generally, it's just more of a kind of mechanics-driven game rather than getting lost in the world of Warcraft, which is really why I started playing World of Warcraft. That's why I fell in love with the game. I can remember countless hours spent in, like, you know, Aberdeen and Darkshore, thinking I'd never get to level 60. This is back in the end of vanilla, very early days of BC. I never thought it was possible for me to get to the level cap. I just thought, you know, that's something other people do. But I was very content to be in this forest and Darkshore and killing furbolgs or whatever, leveling up my druid, because I was in the world. I didn't care about the end game of it, and I'd like us to recapture more and more of that in retail, because I think they're doing a good job of it. From Warlords of Draenor into Legion. Legion was a massive step up in terms of the feeling of connection with characters. I felt definitely a lot more. I felt definitely a lot more connected to my characters in terms of who they are and what they are, rather than necessarily gameplay stuff. I didn't do much endgame because of my degree, basically, but I really enjoyed getting a nice transmog for my priest and walking around Netherlight Temple like I owned the place. That was all cool. So more of that, please, Blizzard, and don't make lovely systems and then delete them, Because if you were going to do that with any system, please do it with the order hall table, or the garrison mission table, or whatever it's going to be called in BFA, because certain systems we can do without, but you seem to really like keeping those. The systems that do seem to work and are really lovely flavor enhancements, please keep those. So in conclusion, what I'm calling for is a reintroduction of order halls in maybe 8.2, 8.2.5, with some flavor quest lines. Maybe, how about this? Maybe some kind of Mage Tower-like event that is specific to the classes, because back in the Mage Tower, in the old days, in Legion, the events of the Mage Tower were really cool. I mean, I'm only talking about it from the perspective of someone who's seen it on video, because I never had enough time to really dedicate to doing the Mage Towers, and I'd love to be able to do it now, but I'm about to go away for a month, and then by the time I get back, they'll be gone. So that sucks. But I see a lot of people that were saying that, okay, yeah, it was really great, I love it, but it's kind of generic. As a shaman, a healing shaman, I don't feel like my particular toolkit is being used here. It's more just a generic healer's challenge, which is good, but maybe in BFA, in 7.2.5, they could introduce a Mage Tower thing that is much more specific for each of the classes. So I'd go back to Netherlight Temple on my priest, for example, and there'd be a Shadow Priest Mage Tower equivalent, and a Holy Priest and a Discipline Priest challenge that was much more specified to that particular class. Because obviously the Mage Tower was a huge success, people really loved that challenge. And then again, like in a previous video, I mentioned the importance of elitist content, of aspirational content. I never experienced really the Mage Tower stuff. I never got very far in any of them, but I'm really glad they existed, because it gave me something to work towards, and it gave other people a sense of pride and accomplishment. So I'm all for that, and perhaps that's a good way of getting some of the nice class fantasy stuff that we got with Legion back into relevance again. So I hope you guys agree with me. Potentially do, potentially don't. If not, let me know about it in the comment section. And if you do agree, also let me know in the comment section. Leave me a like, a dislike, all that jazz, and subscribe. Please check my Discord out, link below. And we may or may not have a guild going on a server that shall not be named. I don't know, you'll find details about that on the Discord, but if you fancy playing Classic WoW before it's released, you may or may not find something about that there. Follow me on Twitch if you want, in the description as well. I'll be streaming come August when I'm back with my computer set up. I'm away for traveling for a while. But if you follow me there, you'll get notifications as soon as I go live again in August. Hope you're having a great day, everyone. Stay chim, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.